Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 926. 926. October the 14th, 2019. Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well let's go ahead and get to the news of the day. Quite a bit to cover here and then we'll decide who wins the dumbass of the week. Okay, so... Oh yes, it looks like there are over 100,000 signatures to recall Gavin Newsom, governor of California. They need 2.3 million signatures. They expect that they'll get there before the end of the year. And the deadline is February 13th of 2020. So yes, it looks like they just may get those signatures. Now, I don't know how many of you remember back in 2016 when we were talking about the elections and projections and all that. Some of you may remember that I said, well, you know, Gavin Newsom, he's 99.9% going to win California, even though I was hoping that there was a Republican running against him that was pretty solid, but the Republican Party really didn't put much effort into California, and I can understand why. It was, you know, Democrats going to win, and Newsom was the nominee. So, you know, obviously Newsom was going to win. I would like to have seen him fight him a little bit, but nevertheless, I did say at that time, yeah, he's a 99.9% that he is going to win and be the next governor of California. But I also said that if in fact he wins and actually does what he says he's going to do, I said he will likely be recalled. And I said the reason is because if you look at a lot of his energy policies, he will end up having to do the same thing as Gray Davis, which will result in blackouts, these rolling blackouts, which is why Gray Davis got recalled. Two issues, really. The rolling blackouts and high gas prices. And what is going on right now in California? Rolling blackouts and very high gas prices. They're paying well over $5 a gallon in most places in California, not to mention all the other problems that they have. So it looks like I may have been correct here, and it doesn't surprise me at all. The only problem is that by the time that you complete this process and go through the process of having a recall election, Newsom will be 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way, 2/3 of the way, however you want to look at it, through his term. And by the time you actually get a new person in there, it might be too late anyway. And then again, you have to look at who's going to be running in the recall election. I mean, what, you think they're going to elect a conservative to replace Newsom? There simply aren't the votes. Unless something extraordinary happens to the California voter, they're just going to elect another Democrat, probably just as crazy as Newsom. But yeah, the rolling blackouts, the high gas prices, and all the other problems are finally starting to pile up. Newsom and Newsom's solution to the problem will be what? The same solution he has for every problem. Well, we just need more money. We just need some more tax increases. So his solution to his problems will be to go for more tax increases, which will be another reason why they will get those 2.3 million signatures. So now they have two different petition drives going on. You can't put the two together. They have to be recognized individually. So whoever those two people are who are behind those two petitions, they need to get together and consolidate that, because you can't turn in one petition with X amount and another with X amount. They're viewed separately. It's got to be on the same petition. So the first thing they need to do to be successful is the two people running these two petitions need to get together and make that one petition. But for all I know, both will get 2.3 million votes. Things are pretty bad out there in Cali. But I just honestly, at this point, I don't know if they've hit rock bottom yet, but I think it's a lot like an alcoholic or a drug addict or a gambling addict. I think in a lot of cases, you have to hit rock bottom before you can truly see the change. And I don't think California's at rock bottom. I think it's really bad, but I don't think they've hit rock bottom. I think that if they have a recall election, you'll get another 20, 30, 40 people throw their hat in the ring. It'll be another freak show. Last time you got Schwarzenegger. This time you'll get someone else, but it'll likely be someone who's on the left. I mean, even Schwarzenegger wasn't really what I would consider a conservative at all. He's an environmental wacko, right? So, you know, I mean, take your best shot, but things are falling apart in California fast. Newsom is likely, in my opinion, they'll get the votes. They'll probably get a recall, but will they actually get someone who will they vote for someone who will reverse policy and try to repair the damage that's been done? And even if they do, how long will that take? I would love to be optimistic, but I'm not. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so we had a special election in Louisiana, and it's good news. In order for the Democrat to be defeated, they had 2 Republicans running against the one Democrat for a runoff election. And so what they had to do was to keep the Democrat from getting 50%. And it looks like they have succeeded. The 2 Republicans together held the current Democratic governor down to about 46%. So what will happen now is they'll go on the highest point getter from the 2 Republicans, which is this guy Risponi. It looks like Risponi will now take on the Democrat Edwards in a straight-up election for the Louisiana governor's office. So there we go, and it looks like good news because the 2 Republicans together would have amassed about 55%, and the Democrat about 46%. So just looking at it at this angle, it looks like the Republicans would have a slight lead at winning back the governorship in Louisiana. And let's certainly hope they do. That would be good news for people in Louisiana. Well, we have Hunter Biden stepping down from this board that he belongs to for Burisma. Or no, not for Burisma, for the Chinese company, the Chinese hedge fund. So he says he's going to step aside from the board, but he hasn't said what he's going to do with all that money. I guess he's going to keep taking the money. He's going to step down officially as a board member, but he hasn't said what he's going to do with the money, so we have to assume he plans on keeping it. And this just shows you that the pressure is starting to get to the Biden campaign, and they are finally having to make some moves. I think they've already blown it at this point. It's been handled so badly at this point that I think it's too late. And even if it's not, the Right Reverend Clinton is hovering overhead. She will make sure that they finish him off, probably at the debates coming up this week. We've already heard that Tulsi Gabbard, she is going to be allowed in the debate, but then she said that she may boycott it. But she's also out there saying, commenting on the Biden situation and basically saying that Biden hasn't had a very good response, that his son should not be sitting on these boards, that he shouldn't be taking this money. So in other words, Tulsi Gabbard is actually sounding like if she's in that debate this week, that she is going to hit Biden on the Ukraine thing, and she apparently is the only one. Now that may be the reason that they're going to let her into the debate, for one reason and one reason only, to let her go in and finish off Uncle Joe. And then, once he's done, then they have no need for her. They'll push her on out the door, and she won't be back anytime soon. That could be the strategy here. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Well, we also have this CBS story, CBS running this tracking poll saying that the Ukraine is hurting Biden. But what they're saying in this poll, they're learning from this poll, is that it's not the attacks by Trump on Biden that's hurting him, but apparently it's Biden's response to the issue. The way he's handled it, which is exactly what I just said. He's handled it horribly. When you have something like this, first of all, you should never get caught in this situation, because this is something you generally go over with campaign people before you throw your hat in a race. You make sure you've cleaned up your dirty laundry. You don't leave it hanging in the breeze for everyone to come along and sniff and say, wow, that's dirty. This should have been handled before. This shows the incompetence of Quid Pro Quo Joe. He's a very incompetent person, and the people running his campaign must be working for Hillary, because these are mistakes that professionals don't make. These stories about Ukraine have been out there for a long time. They've been written by the New York Times, the New Yorker, other major papers have written on this. The Daily Beast, even far left rag, has written on this. So this Biden-Ukraine story is not a new story at all. This is not something that you leave out there. And then when he did get called on it, at that point, that should have been the wake-up call. And at that point, the very next day, Biden should have came out and at least made a statement, made his best defense, and then from that point on, you can say, okay, let's move on. I've already answered the question. I've already dealt with it. Let's move on or something else. But he never actually came out and addressed it from day one when he was hit on it, he just started attacking Trump and saying, "Oh, it's unsubstantiated. Everybody's looked at it. There's no problem." He never actually explained what the situation was or what his defense could be. And so he never really knocked down the accusation, which is why he continues to be asked about it time and time again, now not just from the right, but also from the left. And so he badly boggled it in the first place by not dealing with it even before he threw his hat in the ring. Then once he was in the race, when he was first approached with it, he had a terrible response, and then he waited way too long to clean it up. And it's still not cleaned up, and I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be the death of Biden, right along with a lot of other things that they're not really under his control. They're Joe Biden. Okay, so anyway, it just I don't know why we continue talking about this guy at this point. Someone needs to just tell him to get out. The longer the longer he stays in, the worse it's going to get. It's not going to get any better for quid pro quo Joe. It only gets worse from this day forward. Now, smart political people would say that to him. They say, okay, well, here's what the deal is, man. From this day forward, every day is going to get worse. And Warren is gaining on you. Some polls are beating you. You're getting hit in Iowa. You're going to have trouble in New Hampshire. You're going to have trouble in the caucus states. It just ain't happening. And someone, in addition to other things, the Ukraine thing, you think that the DNC would want him out of the way because they don't want that kind of shade. So for whatever reason, he continues to hang around, but he's done. I just do not see how Biden can make it work. I just don't see it. Well, we're learning some more here about this anti-Trump whistleblower's attorney, Mark Zahid. It appears now we're learning that he is on the board of a left-wing activist organization known as the James Madison Project. Boy, oh boy, how do you do that? And it appears that he's on this leftist activist organization. He's on the board with a guy named, someone you may have heard of, a guy named John Podesta. John Podesta, that's right, one of the rotten Reverend Clinton's henchmen. So the whistleblower's lawyer is on the board of a left-wing activist organization with the rotten Reverend Clinton's henchman, John Podesta. Every direction you turn, all roads lead to the rotten Reverend, as is always the case, which I point out day after day after day. Well, I'm sure some of you saw that little clip of Rand Paul on The View. He tried to go onto The View and reason with those people. I don't know why he thought he could do that, but he found out pretty quickly that you absolutely cannot reason with these people because he got into it with Ana Navarro over whether or not Maduro is a socialist. And she literally sat there and got all bent out of shape because Rand Paul accurately described Maduro, who is a socialist, as a socialist. And she wasn't having any of it. Which just proves that you cannot fix stupid. You can't. You can't fix stupid. You can fix ignorant, but you can't fix stupid. And those people on The View are stupid. So I suggest to Rand Paul that he not go back on The View again. It's just a waste of your time. I don't know why anybody with a lick of sense would go on to The View. It's a waste of your time. What are you hoping to do? Again, these people are too stupid to reason with. And Ana Navarro may be the worst. She's dumber than a flat rock. Now, that brings us up to Pelosi. A lot of media reports now, left-wing sites, centrist sites, right-wing sites. It doesn't matter where you go, whether it's the American Spectator, whether it's the New Yorker. It doesn't matter. It's clear that there are fractures within the Democratic Party, within the Congress, the House of Representatives. There's a lot of pressure being brought now, it appears, behind closed doors on Madame Botox to bring the vote to the full House. Now, this is a lose-lose situation. It's a lose-lose situation. Pelosi got herself into this mess, and I don't see how she gets out. I really don't. It's kind of in a stalemate right now. They're demanding documents and witnesses, but the White House is saying, not under these circumstances, we're not giving you anything. Okay, so what can she do next? Really nothing. I guess you could go to court. That's exactly where they would like to go. Trump would love to go to court because he will win big. The Democrats have nothing. What would they go to court over? They would lose. They would lose. And what if she goes and she has the vote? Well, that would require that quite a few Democrats who are in red districts, states where Trump won, districts Trump won, they would have to go on the record to support impeachment to get the votes to move ahead. They don't want to do that. And even if they did get the votes and move forward with impeachment, then that means that you would have a full vote of the House, which means that then you would actually have an actual normal type of proceeding, in which case Republicans would then be able to call witnesses, subpoena documents and witnesses. They would be able to cross-examine the witnesses, and it just wouldn't be a fixed deal within a single committee within the Congress and being run by the bug-eyed fool. So this would totally throw everything out of Schiff and Pelosi's control and put it back into the control of the whole House, where Republicans would have quite a bit of say, subpoena power, and this type of thing. And what they would do right off the bat, the very first thing they do when they start calling witnesses, because remember, we're talking about something dealing with Ukraine, they would call Biden, Hunter Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. They would call every top-tier official from the previous administration who had anything to do with Ukraine into the hearings to question them. And believe me, they would do it. I mean, Meadows and Jordan absolutely would do this. And so this would be a disaster. A disaster. So having the vote, not only does it put all these Democrats in jeopardy, it would open up the process and allow Republicans to bring in people to testify under subpoena that absolutely do not want anything to do with appearing in those hearings. And they can subpoena anybody in an impeachment hearing like this, including Obama, Hillary, Biden, his son, the whole 9 yards. This thing could just completely go totally off the rails and end up taking out these high-level Democrats, in fact, exposing that's what the Republicans would be doing. They would be exposing the Democrats' role in the Ukraine plot. Why in the world Pelosi wants to go down the road of impeachment based on Ukraine, where the Democrats are totally vulnerable? Remember, the whole point of this thing was probably to shut down any probes into Ukraine to cover up what the Democrats had did. Having a vote would open the whole thing up, would open up the entire thing. So it wouldn't just be Barr and Durham secretly doing an investigation into what happened in Ukraine, or Giuliani over there digging into what happened in Ukraine. It would be right in front of God and everybody on C-SPAN, with Republicans running the show, calling in all these people to find out what really went down in Ukraine. Not just with the Bidens, but in 2016. It's a big, big loser. So she certainly I can't expect she'll do that. But what if she doesn't have the vote? It just goes to status quo to win. When does it end? I mean, people have already lost interest. And as long as time continues to go on, we learn more and more about the fact that this was a set-up plot. As time goes on, every day, we learn about another person connected to Schiff or his staff, another person who traveled to Ukraine, another person with connections to Biden, another person with connections to the Clintons. Every day, this part of the plot becomes exposed. There's no winning position here for Pelosi. The only winning move, really, would be for her to shut it down. Say, okay, we've talked to some people, there's really nothing there, thanks for coming, I'll see you, and try to move on to the next thing. That's what she should be trying to do right now. Get off this thing and get on to the next thing. But it's going to be hard to do, and quite honestly, she'll look like she'll have a lot of egg on her face. Might even have people pressuring her to step down. So this is a total disaster for Madam Botox. Badly misplayed, and it's it's a disaster waiting to happen, man. That's all it is. We have Bill Maher saying that Biden looks like a depreciating stock. Yeah, he looks like a crashed stock to me. And of course, we all probably saw bits and clips. I don't think anybody could sit through all of it, but I'm sure some of us saw clips of that horrible CNN LGBTQ show. What a disaster that was. I believe that they pulled a total of 0.06% viewers. 0.06% of people, less than just about half of 1% of people cared enough to watch. And for those who did watch, if you're just like a normal Democrat or even a normal homosexual or bisexual or whatever, you were probably scared out of your mind at what you saw. It was an absolute freak show. I saw some of the lowlights. Man, oh man, if I was a regular Democrat or even just a normal homosexual or bisexual, that would scare the hell out of me, and I wouldn't want this group of people anywhere near power. And CNN, my God, why did they do it? Why did they do it? They don't need to do it. Of all the things that they could do with their time, they do this. I mean, they don't need to have something like this to try to help the Democrats. The Democrats are already going to get the LGBTQ vote anyway, for the most part. All this did was reveal what a freak show it is. And that these are not your normal homosexuals. These are the crazy ones. These are the craziest of the crazy. And CNN's giving them a format. It didn't look good for CNN. It didn't look good for the homosexual community whatsoever. And certainly if you're a normal Democrat and you watch this, you're probably voting for Trump. It appears that Mifsud has gone missing again, and the last word we heard was that he told the Italian intelligence he feared for his life, and he told him who he feared, who this fear was from. And then we have Stephen Rowe apparently saying that he's no longer really representing Mifsud. That Mifsud is now being represented by a law firm in London, and that has to do with apparently there's 2 lawsuits going on where Mifsud's being accused of misusing funds, and so they're handling this lawsuit for him. But apparently he's gone missing again, and he fears for his life from someone. Who do you think that might be? And finally we have Paul Craig Roberts appearing on what's his name show? I forget his name now, but Paul Craig Roberts saying that unfortunately this is not good. He's saying though that if Trump is reelected, he will likely be assassinated. It's not something you want to hear. Paul Craig Roberts. But you know what? You never rule that out with this group. So, let's go ahead and get to Dumbass of the Week. Merrily. Merrily is going to go with anyone who doesn't watch Trump. Anyone who doesn't watch Trump videos where Assange is featured in a beautiful way. Okay, I think I know what she's talking about. Maybe, or he or she is talking about. I guess back when Trump was campaigning, he would talk about, WikiLeaks when they were dumping the Hillary Clinton stuff and the DNC stuff and the Podesta stuff. Trump was kind of praising WikiLeaks. But, since Trump has been president, Assange has not been treated very well. Let's just state what the fact is. Assange is not being treated very well. I thought there may be a point in time when they may actually go to him and ask him some questions, produce some evidence about who really hacked the DNC. As far as I know, there's no effort being made to do that. It looks like they're trying to kill Julian Assange very slowly and very quietly. That's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong. Faye is going to go with Anna Navarro. Very good pick there for Faye. Jack Kennedy is going to go with Shep Smith. Silas Ash is going to go with CNN and that town hall I just talked about. Yes, indeed. Rose is going to go with Hanoi Jane. That's right. Hanoi Jane moved to Washington so she could protest, and now she's been arrested. But she'll never figure it out. Patty Willing, the NBA. Absolutely correct. We haven't talked about that at all. But yes, the NBA is being made to look cowardly, foolish, corrupt, and despicable. All in the same breath. Bad news for the NBA. They look weak. Her second pick would be Biden. And her third pick, Patty's third pick, would be the skateboarder Bobby O. Well done, Patty. 3 strong picks. Freddie Schaffer. Well, first Freddie wanted to go with Pelosi, Schiff, and Omar. And then she saw the CNN clip or heard the CNN story. And so she may want to change her vote to CNN. Let's see. We have Larry Lyons, our good friend Larry. He's going to go with Shep Smith, Blizzard Gaming, and the NBA. 3 strong picks there for Larry. Mark Tezak, he's going to go with Drudge. Yes, Drudge. Haven't had much time to talk about that either. I used to actually look at Drudge Report. I gave it up about a year ago. I just got tired of seeing the anti-Trump headlines. But it used to be one of the sources I used every day. And about a year ago, I said I can't do it anymore. Big feature headline stories during the Mueller hearings and backing Mueller all the way and spreading the anti-Trump virus. And I'm like, what in the world is Drudge doing? What happened to Drudge? I don't know. I don't know. Susan's going to go with Madam Botox. Yep, she is a big, big loser. Any way she turns, and definitely dumbass of the week. Potential. Ginger Lee is going to go with Cruz for getting with AOC on that bill. I can't remember now. I read about that. I can't remember what the bill is. But yeah, I agree. No need to get with AOC on anything at all. Thank you very much, Ginger Lee. Gary is going to go with Commie China. In that little game that they play over in China with your commie credit score, which of course is something that Google and Facebook and Twitter would like to see happen here, because they're of course working with China on implementing all that stuff. Well done, Gary. Cards wants to go with the mayor of Minneapolis. Yes, the mayor of Minneapolis likely cost himself his election, hopefully, and he certainly may have helped turn Minnesota red from blue, turn it to red in 2020 with the stupidity that he engaged in. Removing portalettes, that's childish. What a scumbag. Thank you very much, Cards. Jenny tweets. She's going to go with Shep, the skateboarder, Bobby O, and the bug-eyed fool. Sue Song is going to go with Shep, Omar, and Madam Botox. The Dandy is going to go with Bug-Eyed Fool Schiff. Joe Mack wants to go with Corn Pop for not kicking Biden's ass. Well done, Joe Mack. Yes, Corn Pop for not kicking Biden's ass. Well done. Oregon is going to go with Shep. Let's see. Showfest is going to go with Comey. Allen is going to go with Quid Pro Quo Joe. Jamie likes Schiff, Madam Botox. Schiff and Madam Botox. We have Gordon. He's going to go with Quid Pro Quo Joe and Madam Botox. Douglas is going to go with Murdoch's meeting with Barr and the fact that there's no explanation. And of course, he doesn't like my explanation of what I thought. But again, tell you what, I mean, I was just taking a shot at it, Douglas. I have no idea. Why Barr and Murdoch met. Again, I don't know if they were friends. That would explain why they met. They just sat down for a friendly conversation, catching up, or maybe had nothing to do with that. Maybe they're not friends. I took my best shot. I don't know. But I can assure you, Douglas, I'm not bought off. At least if I am, no one sent the check. No one sent the check. Let's see. We have another Joe Mack here. Joe Mack, whoever gave me a thumbs down. Yeah, you're right. I always get one thumbs down. I don't know who it is, but someone that watches my videos always gives me a thumbs down. I've never really figured out who it is. I don't care, really. But actually, there were 2 thumbs down on that video. So I guess that's who he's talking about. Whoever that was that gave me the second thumbs down. Let's see. Stage Door Johnny is going to go with Pocahontas. Pocahontas, lying Liawatha, the liar, Warren, she, her, and hers, along with Frito, and the usual suspects. Well, you covered just about everybody there, Stage Door Johnny. I think you got just about everybody on that one. Let's see. Dennis Waddell is going to go with Quid Pro Quo Joe, the skateboarder, and Legs in the Air, Harris. Then we have Jeanette. Jeanette is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Quid Pro Quo Joe and his son Hunter, and Madam Botox. Then we have John Anderson, who is going to go with CNN. And the NBA, number 2. So the NBA is doing pretty damn well. CNN, of course. And his third pick is going to be Madam Botox. So what's surprising this week is we got some votes for, it was a pretty spread out. Nobody got a lot of numbers because we had a lot of different people nominated. So no one even cracked 10 votes, but you had a lot more people in the running. A lot of people getting 2, 3, 4, 5 votes. It's interesting. We saw a couple things pop up in this week's Dumbass of the Week we don't normally see, like NBA, a basketball team. We don't normally get too much sports finding its way into our Dumbass of the Week. But clearly the NBA situation is bigger than sports. It's about the China issue, really, and the NBA's ass-kissing of China. And, of course, we know it has a lot to do with these shoe companies. Nike really kind of runs the NBA. I mean, the NBA is big, but Nike is gigantic. And kind of NBA kind of answers to Nike in a lot of ways, and Nike is close to China. A lot of the shoes that are sold in the world are Nike shoes are made in China with slave labor. The NBA likes that. They make huge profits. Nike makes huge profits. And so it's all about the money. And it's a shame to see the NBA, all a bunch of millionaires and billionaires who are allowing themselves to be looking like such cowards. But really, quite honestly, it's not China that they're afraid of. It's Nike that they're afraid of. And that's what's probably not totally clear. Everybody's saying, well, China, the NBA afraid to stand to China, but it's really Nike. Nike and China are one and the same. I mean, they're joined at the hip. And it's a sad commentary. And we also had CNN getting quite a few votes because of this couple things they've done. But primarily, I was just looking at that LGBTQ, and it's a dumbass move. I mean, if you're trying to help the Democrats beat Trump, that is the last thing in the world you should have done. It didn't need to happen. It didn't do any good at all, and it certainly had poor ratings. There was nothing good about it, nothing at all. Everything about it was bad. So CNN, yes, deserves certainly to be a mention for Dumbass of the Week. But having that as it is, the winner of this week's Dumbass of the Week is Madam Botox, Nancy Pelosi, and for a lot of reasons, but primarily, as I laid out earlier in this video, she has put herself in a very bad position, and her party, quite honestly, including the 2020 Democrat candidates, because she's got herself in a situation where she cannot win. I went through the 3 scenarios, the options she has. They are all losers. You can lose big, or you can lose really, really big. And what people want her to do is the option that would have her lose really, really big. That's her best option. So Madam Botox definitely clearly deserves Dumbass of the Week. She made a horrible strategic tactical error, and I don't know how she's going to get out of it. But she's not going to get out of it without paying a price, I can assure you that. Number 2 is going to be a tie between Shep Smith and the bug-eyed fool Adam Schiff. Now, they'll probably get along very well together, I would guess. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Shep will go over and join Schiff's staff. Or do something with Schiff's staff. We'll have to leave that to someone else's imagination. And then, of course, we have Quid Pro Quo Joe coming in 3rd. So there you go. Pelosi, number 1. A tie between Schiff and Shep, number 2. And Biden coming in number 3. Now, there's one other thing about CNN I haven't had time to report on this week, but I'll get to it just because I got 1 minute left. For many, many years, really since the beginning of cable news, CNN has had a contract with every airport practically in the damn world, so that all you ever see when you go into an airport or a bus terminal or anything else is CNN. Those days are over. Those days are over. There is now a new company that's got a new deal. They're already in dozens of airports. They're pulling CNN out of the airports and putting the new one in. And they are largely a center-right organization where people will be able to watch Fox or any other One American News or anything else they want to watch. Give them a wide open variety to choose what they actually want to watch. So it's very, very good. CNN has finally been beaten out of the airport business, and it's not long before that network is now going to collapse. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See you. Bye.